Have you guys heard? GM, Ram, and Toyota just got put on notice. Most of you guys know that some of the biggest issues we're seeing today is quality. And not just with like technology. See, I think most of us would have expected technology to be at the top of the list for issues, but no. In a lot of cases, engines are at the top of the list for quality issues. And we're talking specifically GM because they're having a lot of issues with their 6.2 liter. Same thing goes for the Toyota Tundras. They're having issues with their 3.4 liter twin turbo engine as well. And by the way, man, that Tundra looks really good with this leveling kit and these 295/55s. Man, that looks super nice. And by the way, I am here at Ken Garff Ford here in West Valley, Utah. If you're willing to buy a new or used truck, be sure to text Ken down below. Let's go ahead and jump into the video. I will admit to you guys something real quickly. I do like this option simply because for like me, since I do work in my car sometime, check this out. If I want to set up my camera here like this and read this article to you guys, it's very easy to do in the Ford trucks because it gives me so much space here. Now, I found this article on FordAuthority.com and it says here, Ford F-150 top ranked light duty pickup in 2026 initial quality study. In recent years, the Ford F-150 has been recognized for being a pickup with excellent initial quality in general by more than one source. In 2025, the F-150 ranked as the top choice in terms of full-size light-duty pickups on the J.D. Power U.S. Initial Quality Study, though it tied with the Chevy Silverado 1500 and ranked ahead of the third-place Toyota Tacoma. Now, however, the Ford F-150 has locked up that first-place segment spot all for itself in the 2026 J.D. Power IQS just after the entire lineup was recommended by Consumer Reports. This year, the Ford F-150 stands along atop the J.D. Power IQS rankings in the full-size light-duty pickup segment, ahead of the Chevy Silverado and Toyota Tacoma. It's joined by a couple of other blue oval models too, the Ford Mustang, which ranked as the top choice in terms of sporty cars, and the 2026 US IQS, beating out the second-place Toyota 86, as well as the Ford Super Duty, which came out on top of the large heavy-duty pickup space, beating out the Chevy Silverado HD. Ladies and gentlemen, that is bad news for the competitors, because think of it like this. Ford was the first pickup to adopt a twin-turboed V6, right? And they didn't just do it, they did it, and they did it, and they did it until they pretty much made it almost perfect. I think the biggest issue we saw with the 3.5 liter twin turbo EcoBoost was the cam phasers? I believe that's what it was. And I want to say they fixed that issue back in 2021, 2022. So when you consider the EcoBoost twin turbo engine, it's port and direct injection, right? This engine is now considered the most reliable engine probably in full-size pickups. Let that sink in for a second. And just in case some of you guys want to say something about forced induction, how they're not long-term engines, I've done videos in the past. You can search my channel. I did a video on a Ford F-150 with a 300,000 mile EcoBoost. The only reason why the guy was replacing the engine is because he bought the truck used and he just wanted to just basically rebuild it. Now the article goes on to say this is the second consecutive year all three of those blue oval models won their respective segments, and that played a big role in the overall success Ford experience this year. In fact, the Ford brand made a massive leap up the rankings in the 2026 J.D. Power U.S. Initial Quality Study, from 14th place down to 3rd place. I want to make sure we're all on the same page here, because this quality survey is not for trucks that are at 100,000 miles, 5-6 years old. It's really for the 2026 model year pickup. So people who purchased a truck this year, I want to say it was like 78,000 surveys went out. That's for those customers within the 90-day period, what issues they ran into. Now I know some of you guys might think, well, that's not a good indication of like issues, right? 90 days, seriously? You'd be shocked at how many people have issues with their cars within the first 90 days. It may not necessarily be a powertrain or drivetrain issue, but it could be hesitations, like with the engine, right? Where they like go to give it throttle and it won't go, or it'll shut off. Maybe the power deployable running boards won't come out, or they're stuck and they have to be replaced, or your seat won't move. Maybe your screens stop working, or they just black out and they won't come back on, right? So there's a lot of instances where within that first 90 days, that's where you're potentially going to have most of your problems. Same thing goes with like when engines go out. Like I've seen mostly whenever someone has like a complete engine failure on a new car, it happens within that 15,000 miles. If you get past the 15,000 miles, you typically are pretty much out of the woods. That's why when I did weight loss program on my truck, I waited a little bit because I wanted to make sure, because I bought the brand new Duramax diesel, and I wanted to make sure I didn't have any issues within that first 15,000 miles. I actually waited till 20,000 miles. But once you get to that kind of mileage, the odds of you having issues are pretty rare. But I've seen engines go down within 5,000 miles or less. Let's go for a quick drive. One thing I've always known about Ford is they sell a lot of trucks, and I would never expect them to be at the top of the list for quality, simply because when you're selling as many trucks as they do, you're going to have a lot of things fall through the cracks, right? Even if you're doing it the same every time, you're going to have some of those trucks come back with some issues, especially with blacked out screens, things like that, even potentially complete engine failures. But Ford has been doing the same thing for a long time. They've pretty much perfected the twin turbo V6, whereas the others have just caught up to Ford with their inline or V6 twin turbo engines. So Ford has definitely been doing their homework the longest. They've been making changes early on so that way they don't have to do so much later on. So I think that's why Ford is pretty much at the top of the list, because they've pretty much perfected everything. Now, here's one thing I would say is this. A lot of people are really concerned about quality. Quality is a big conversation, whether it be, engine failures, transmission failures. People are really concerned about those things. I see price still as number one, as the most talked about thing on my channel. Second to reliability. How long will this truck last? How long will this car last? And that is a conversation people are really having right now. Now, here's what I want to say. I just put together a website. You guys know I've offered oil bypasses in the past. And I think that this is the best technology to have for longevity. If you're looking to buy a brand new truck, especially a diesel engine, I highly recommend you consider putting an oil bypass on your truck. I'll have my website down below, but I won't take too much time to talk about it. But the oil bypass system that I have filters down to 1 micron. And if you don't know how that relates to like your oil filter, I mean, oil filters typically will filter down to like 25 microns. So this system allows you to go longer on your oil changes. But on top of that, Insane Diesel does also offer, which I have on my website, Lorenzo Oil, and their oil has tungsten in it. Now, do your research separately from my website and from Insane Diesel on tungsten in the oil. What you'll find is it should be the new standard for engine oil. It's simply the best additive you can add to any oil, whether it be a gas engine or diesel engine. And it's really based on how it bonds to the metals in the engine, how it creates a barrier to protect from wear and potentially failure. So again, check my website out. If you're someone looking to buy a brand new truck, or if you have a truck now currently, you want to keep it long term, this is the future of oil. I'm willing to bet you in the future you're going to see more companies using tungsten in the oil. So I think that Ford is doing a great job. I think going into 2030, you're going to probably see a brand new F-150, and around that same time the Super Duty will have something coming out soon too. And I think that they're just at the top of the list right now because you don't hear a lot of issues with the EcoBoost. They've pretty much fixed a lot of those problems, and the fact that they've been using port and direct injection in their V8s and their twin turbo engines, it just goes to show you that they are ahead of the game when it comes down to making the best possible product for the consumer. And remember, this is coming from a Ford hater. because some of you guys still think I'm a Ford hater, but I don't really care which truck is better. I just go off of what I can see, and what I can see is I don't see a lot of failures happening with these trucks, especially on the Ford Super Duty side. When you think about their diesel engines, when you think about even their 7.3, they had issues with the 7.3s in the past, but I don't hear about those same issues on the newer 7.3s from 2023 and on, because they did, for the most part, fix some of those problems. Now the Power Strokes throughout the years have had issues, but Ford again has since perfected it because they keep doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to your channel. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Do you think I'm right about this? Do you think that Ford trucks are the best on the market? I think right now they are. I think that if I were strongly consider buying something brand new, it would probably be at the top of my list today, especially if I'm looking for something with good quality.